This is Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm Owen James, and this is all your latest Rangers news. Guys, we have finally reached transfer deadline day, or Friday as it's known at Rangers. Right, well, what's going to happen today? We are hoping beyond hope that finally some signings are brought through the door. This is what you call lastminute.com. This is what you call leaving it to the 11th hour. It's leaving it really late if Rangers are going to bring in some new players. And also, give truth to that statement that Clement said. He said he expects more arrivals than outgoings. Well, so far we've got two. That's right, I think it's two confirmed outgoings, which is Ben Davies and Scott Wright. The Todd Cantwell situation is a little bit more complicated than that. We're going to talk a little bit about that story this morning and how that deal could go through, but might still not go through. We've also got Scott Wright news. Looks like that one is done and dusted and in the can. We've got news, obviously, as well about a link to a player who just sprung up last night on X from a Feyenoord fan site that had the Neo story just spot on as well. A player who goes by the name of this Neresheo Casanwejo. I don't know how to say that name, guys. It is a real name. It is an incredibly difficult name to pronounce. But yeah, that is the name of the player. Look forward to Rangers fans trying to get a Glasgow accent around that one. So we're going to talk a little bit about that one. We're going to talk also a little bit about, other expectations for today and the transfer window before obviously the channel return to start to really focus on the Old Firm game on Sunday. It does seem kind of weird, doesn't it, in Old Firm week that we are very much putting the Old Firm as kind of a background talking point, behind this transfer deadline day, which obviously comes up on today, isn't it? It's 11 o'clock. The window finally shut to 11:30. Can't remember the top of my head. I know England and Scotland are slightly different. One's 11, one's 11:30. Can't remember which way around it is again. Did read it, but it slipped my mind. Big long shift of work today. Anyway, so let's start off with some news about an outgoing. We are going to get to the guy with a really strange name very shortly. This was confirmed. Sky Sports Scotland. Scott Wright has agreed to join Birmingham City from Rangers in a move worth around 300,000. He will depart Ibrox subject to a medical and paperwork. Apparently he is in the Midlands. Apparently he is undergoing said medical and looks likely to complete his move today to Birmingham City. Certainly a move that will please some Rangers fans, disappoint others, and others just genuinely couldn't care less. I suppose Scott Wright has always kind of been a bit of a whipping boy for the fans, always been seen as, the great underachiever, someone who perhaps, didn't justify playing for the club. Yet, at times has been a loyal servant, has worked hard for the club, has put in 100% effort. I don't think anyone can question Scott Wright's effort or Scott Wright's attitude, the way that he plays the game. He's always given it 100% for Rangers. He's always tried hard. I suppose the Aberdeen sending off last season in the game that got Beale sacked, maybe the odd example, perhaps not. But overall, he's not a player that shirks. He's not a player that, gives up. He's not a player that just, stops playing. He's a trier. It's just that, he obviously hasn't got the technical ability or skill to back it up, really. So, look, approach work very good, system work very good, defensively sound. It's just that final product that has always let Scott Wright down and stopped him from being a success with Rangers. Obviously, he's had his successful moments for the club, Scottish Cup final. He's had his, obviously, the Europa League final. He's had those moments and those great memories. And look, no matter what you think of Scott Wright, we do wish him all the very best for the future. And obviously that permanent transfer to Birmingham City. Crazy to think that 300,000, it's about half, just over half what Blackburn are allegedly going to pay for Todd Cantwell. We will get to that story very shortly about Cantwell and how that move could collapse and how it may not actually be going through, but it could still go through. We'll talk about that shortly anyway. So look, a link came completely out of the blue last night. Now I saw links to the defender from Marseille. I don't think that's a reasonable go. Marseille, I think, only bought him, at the start of the season. I don't think that's a genuine option. I think there's French clubs in more pole position for him again. Marseille, I think do want to perhaps keep him. I don't know what the situation is there. Plus, his value is quite high too. So, we know that Rangers have not got massive amounts of money to spend on players, whereas obviously our city rivals continue to spend big, breaking their transfer record yet again for the signing of that midfielder Engels, I think he's called, yesterday. Anyway, this is the name that came up, and this is the tweet that went out. So this is a Feyenoord fan site, that, like I said, got the Neo transfer spot on, fr12.nl. Feyenoord, Vergoed, Casanwejo and Rangers FC. Basically translates as Feyenoord to rent Casanwejo to Rangers FC. Rent, e.g. loan, it doesn't translate directly. I did use Google Translate to translate this. I don't speak Dutch. I have been copying and pasting some of the Feyenoord fan responses to this into Google Translate as well. I do know social media is never the most positive of places. Anyway, it looks like that Casanwejo will join, or whatever, however you say that. Like, I know I'm massacring it. I'm fully aware of the fact I'm absolutely slaughtering this poor lad's name. He will join on a loan with an option to buy, apparently. This is, like I said, one that's come completely out of left field, and I think it's got some Rangers fans perhaps thinking, how many more of these are going to come completely out of left field, the same way the proper deal did. This one seems to be heading the same way too. This is what we know about him. So his name, obviously, is Narciseo Mauricio Casanwejo, I think. He's 22 years old, so again, another young player, someone who would fit into our trading model. He's from Amsterdam in Holland. He is 6'1" tall, 185 meters, 1.85 meters. He is from the Netherlands, but he also has Suriname nationality as well, hence the name. He's a defender, listed as a right back, but we'll get to that in a moment. So don't get excited. Those of you who think we're finally getting rid of that, getting rid of Joe. I'm not going to use the words I want to use about that guy. You know what I think of him. Finally getting a replacement for James Tavernier. Don't get too excited. He's right-footed. He is obviously currently with Feyenoord. He's under contract until 2027. That is the terms of his deal. Now, he is primarily listed as a right back, but he can also play as a centre back and a left back, and has also played as a central defensive midfielder at some point as well. So a lot of people are actually saying that he's a Dutch Dujon Sterling, someone who comes as a right back but can also play centre back, can play left back, can play defensive midfield, can play a number of different positions. Very similar build size to Dujon Sterling. Some people, like I said, calling him the Dutch Dujon. In terms of his career, he's played for a number of different clubs, including a loan spell with Rapid Vienna last season. Time with FC Groningen, where he played 52 times, scoring 3 goals and 1 assist. He started with Ajax, so he came through the youth system at Ajax. Never actually playing for Ajax, played for young Ajax in the 19s and the 17s and the 21s for Ajax, making multiple appearances for them. For Feyenoord, he's made 9 first team appearances only. So the majority of his footballs come away from Feyenoord, obviously on loan at Rapid Vienna last season, where he made 28 appearances with 1 assist, and obviously as well with FC Groningen, one of the smaller team in the Netherlands. Now, in terms of his positioning, where does this guy like to play? Well, look, like I said, he is listed primarily as a right back. However, he's played a lot of games at centre half for his club as well. So the clubs that he's been with, Groningen, Vienna, or he did play quite a lot of games at right back last year for Vienna. Like I said, he's seen as a very much a hybrid player who can play a number of different positions. A player that would certainly very fit a kind of, like I said, Dutch Dujon from that aspect. I think it's pretty obvious that Rangers are in effect targeting him as a centre half. I can't see this being as a replacement for James Tavernier, unfortunately. I do think we are stuck with him. Until we are stuck with him and just having to carry him for the rest of the season. That's just how it is. But this is certainly an interesting link nonetheless. Like I said, it's come completely out of left field, and like the proper deal, it also came completely out of left field, and the Bajrami one as well, as he was not previously linked with the club. We'll have some more news on him as well. Now, look, this seems to be the way that Koppen works. That it very much is a case of it's not a player that is linked again, repeatedly linked, or suddenly is linked in the media. appears to be a player that comes, like I said, out of left field, sudden link. I mean, that's the only one that has kind of gone through that pattern of the usual transfer situation is Igman, who went, through the link, and then he didn't quite, and then he was linked again, and then the move finally went ahead. So look, this is an interesting move for a player who, is young. He's again, very good he's decent on the ball because of his Dutch heritage, comfortable on the ball like most Dutch players. I've got to say, reading the comments that were made by Feyenoord fans underneath the posts on Twitter, they are not particularly favourable about him. There certainly is an air of celebration that they're moving him on. They don't seem to rate him very highly. But I think it's worth remembering that a lot of Ajax fans had bad opinions of Calvin Bassey. So, look, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we can only judge this player if he does come on what we see on the park, what we see when he pulls on the blue shirt, what we see when he pulls on the white shirt, what we see when he pulls on that lion shirt, and how he actually plays for Rangers when he is called upon by the manager, Philippe Clement. But like I said, it is interesting. This link has suddenly come up out of nowhere. It does appear to be a centre-back plan C, like the video that I mentioned yesterday. Obviously, Kai deal dead. And Socky deal dead. This seems to be the next one. Like I said, there is that link to that Marseille player. I don't think there's any much truth in that rumour. I can't see that one happening today at all. So look, that's the latest links. I mean, I'll be honest with you, the whole Bajrami thing, it appears to be dragging a little bit now. It doesn't appear to be. It appears to be still a very much negotiations are ongoing. Now, there was a story that was doing the rounds yesterday on social media regarding Bajrami going to Bologna instead of obviously coming to Rangers. That is an old story from a while ago. So I think that's just somebody found that on the internet, suddenly read it, didn't realise the date on it, and then obviously dredged it up and said it was an actual story from this window, when it's not. It actually is a story from an old window. So there's not much truth in that one. But the whole story again is negotiations ongoing, talks ongoing, etc., etc. It does appear that if we do sign players today, that I don't think they'll even feature on the bench against Celtic on Sunday, due to the fact they won't be able to. Obviously, they just recently joined the club, subject to paperwork, international clearance, and won't have had much time to train with their teammates. So I can't see any of these guys starting against Celtic, despite the fact we do need all the reinforcements we can get going into Sunday's game. Like I said, the Bajrami one still seems to be dragging on. Doesn't seem anything definite on that one yet. On the Adel deal, the Ibrahim Adel deal, that does look to be completely dead now, with, according to a number of Egyptian media sources, Adel in Spain talking to Getafe ahead of finalising a move to the club. Yes, that's right, we've been rejected by Pyramids FC. How humiliating. Now, I suppose one thing that does come out of this window slightly, and look, I know we need to take every link we read with an absolute pinch of salt, and we do know that a lot of what we read in terms of links is kind of just paper talk. It's media speculation. It's clickbait. It's designed to get Rangers fans to click and read and click and watch, etc., etc. Because that's what a fan base. We're hungry for information about our club. We're hungry for this rebuild, and that's the way it goes. So look, I think that's always the issue. That's always going to be the situation. We do need to take a pinch of salt to all these rumours. However, if they are all to be believed, well, not all, if some of the more believable ones out there, the Kai one, the Kavadai one, for example, the Bracalo one, which seems to be dying as well, the Abdadel one as well. It kind of worries you slightly, that Rangers, have not been able to win the race to get these players. So it does ask you, you start to, beg a question. What is it? Is it the fact that we're only interested in loans at the moment? We do seem to be becoming the Lone Ranger at this moment in time. I mean, I just wish we'd actually sign a player instead of just loaning them. It's pretty embarrassing. The amount of loans we've got. So I think, that's one side of it. I think also as well, I think you look at the situation, you look at the whole way the club is being run at the moment, the whole ethos around the club in terms of the board and the management structure, I think, it could be putting people off as well. What is stopping us from getting these deals over the line? That's a key question I think that does really need to be asked. Is it a lack of money? Just a sheer lack of money, given the fact the board won't invest and the board, don't seem to be willing to really back the manager. So, that's the situation. I mean, I don't know what the answer is to that one, but that's just kind of what out there in speculation. Okay, so we were under the impression that it was a done deal that Todd Cantwell will be joining Blackburn Rovers, a fee of between 500 and 600,000, which I still to this day maintain is a very low fee for a player that was once allegedly worth 50 million. I'm not saying for a minute that Cantwell is worth 50 million or even 5 million. But I do find it incredulous that we can't get over £1 million for a very talented player. And like I said on the video earlier, I do think a lot of that is down to the absolutely shocking way the whole situation has been handled by the club and by the manager. So, this deal. Now, Blackburn Rovers boss John Eustace was questioned about arrivals to the club, obviously, with the situation in terms of targeting the man himself, targeting
So, the whole situation, he was asked about, the club, were any signings imminent, were any players likely to be on the way in? He said that at the moment, as far as he was aware, nothing was imminent. He said that no players are currently undergoing a medical. He did know, however, that the recruitment team at Blackburn were working hard to get players over the line. So it doesn't appear that this Todd Cantwell deal is close yet. It does, of course, beg a question, that if this does not go through, if we cannot obviously even selling for £500,000 to Blackburn, what the hell do we do? I don't think, terminating his contract is an option because you've got to pay up the contract. Do we really want to be spending that much money and wasting that much money on paying off a player, when we clearly haven't got a lot of money? So it is slightly concerning times on that one. I think it's quite clear now, no matter what you think of Cantwell, I've always been a Cantwell fan, that that his time at the club is over. That's just the way it is. His time is coming to an end. So if we can get some money for him, or be it in good, yes, I do. Like I said, I do think it's a disgrace that it's only 600,000 or 500,000 pounds, depending on what source you read. I would have hoped we could get just over £1 million for the player, but look, that's where it is. If you can only sell players for what clubs are willing to pay, and if that's all they're willing to pay, then that's what we've got to kind of deal with. So look, it's a worrying time. It's a worrying time. We don't want to be stuck with him on the 31st of August. I really don't want to be sat here talking to you on the 31st of August saying, well, boys and girls, we've still got Hadji, we've still got Cantwell. What are we going to do with them? So I certainly don't want to be stuck in that situation. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Guys, it's deadline day. You've got to hope that something happens today. I'm reminded of that cartoon picture of the cartoon man poking the ball with a stick saying, come on, do something, except substitute the ball for a Rangers badge. Well, guys, thank you for watching this channel. Thank you, as always, for your phenomenal support. Please, obviously, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. And on the way out, if you could do me 2 favors. Number 1, if you've enjoyed the content, please smash that like. And number 2, remember always, we are the people.